Halo Infinite is still likely over a year away from releasing. Since all we have to go off of so far, we have a trailer, we have a couple interviews, a few tweets here and there, we don't know much about the game. But what we can do is we're going to take a look at another Microsoft game and see what things the next Halo will learn from this game. Crackdown 3 released last Friday on February 15th at the time of this recording, so that was last Friday, and I've only played a little bit of the game. Now, of course, I'm on that Halo 5 XP grind, so I haven't played too much of the game, but of course, since the game's come out, there hasn't been a lot of great reviews. It hasn't done super well critically, but they have received some decent reviews by fans of the series. The reason for both of these things are the feelings that the game, kind of emits to the fans versus to the critics. The game plays and feels like an upscaled version of the originals. The game plays almost exactly the same as the old games, and that kind of causes the game to feel dated, but at least still true to its roots. So, of course, what does this have to do anything with Halo? Well, both games are published by Microsoft. Both games are Microsoft exclusive. Keep in mind I said Microsoft exclusive, not console exclusive. And both games are part of the Xbox Game Pass. So, making them available day one to subscribers of the Game Pass, it's a pretty big thing, at least in my opinion. So, for the rest of this video, we're going to speculate that Halo Infinite is going to return to the classic style of gameplay. Now, we don't know if this is true. We're not sure if this is the case yet. But if this does come to fruition, of course, the following points will apply. If not, you can basically ignore the rest of this video. So, first up, Halo Infinite needs to retain the classic art style by not looking dated, though. We already know that Halo Infinite is going to have the classic art style, but that doesn't mean it has to look old. It doesn't have to look like the old games. So in Crackdown 3, there's a lot of comparisons to the original. People say it looks kind of dated, even though it's running at modern resolutions. The game doesn't look bad, of course. It just means that it looks dull. There's not a lot of inspiration. It's all flat. The textures aren't great. And that can sometimes affect gameplay. You can't really tell what's climbable, what's not sometimes, just because of the lighting and the textures and the way it's designed. And that's definitely a fault against the game. Now, of course, with Halo returning to the art style of the old games, that doesn't mean they have to look old. No, and obviously you can do more than just upscale textures, because, of course, look at Halo 3 in the MCC. Yeah, it's running at 4K, 60 frames, but that doesn't mean it looks great. I mean, it definitely looks old. It's not bad looking, mind you. It just looks old. Which means, don't change the art style like Halo 4 did, but just add more detail, enhance it. The lighting, environmental effects, make everything look crisp. Don't just make it look old to match the old art style. That's what Crackdown did, and it's not always going well for them. Again, the game doesn't look bad, of course, but there are some mistakes that need to be learned from. For the second point, Halo Infinite can't just copy the old formula. As we've already established, right, Crackdown is under a lot of scrutiny because the way the game is designed, the way it looks, the way it feels, lock-on aiming isn't a thing anymore. We use third person, strafing or whatever you want to call it, and that just kind of makes the game feel clunky, like it's just taken straight from Crackdown 2 because, well, it looks as if it was almost just taken straight from Crackdown 2. Now, Halo Infinite can't just copy and paste the controls, the gameplay, the meta, all the physics or whatever. They can't just copy Halo 3 or 2 or whatever game they're going to base this off of, if it has classic gameplay, of course. They can't just copy all these things. Otherwise, it's just going to feel dated. It's going to feel old, and it's not going to really feel like a modern game, just a rehash of an old one. So Halo Infinite needs to kind of walk that line. They need to retain the classic gameplay. They need to make it feel modern, feel like it plays well, and that it actually came out from this decade, or, depending on the release date, next decade, right? The game needs to feel like it's a modern video game, not like it came out in 2007 or 2004. And the last major point I know this video is a little bit shorter than last week's, the Apex one, but Halo really needs to take note and kind of immerse itself inside the Game Pass and promote itself in the Game Pass and promote the Game Pass, vice versa. So Crackdown has a lot of people playing it just because it's part of the Game Pass. If Crackdown came out as a $60 game, I think very few people are going to buy it, right? It'd be a huge flop. Not because Crackdown's bad by any means, but it's got so much negative press, all the delays, and the game looks old and plays old, and the reviews aren't great. Crackdown would not have done well whatsoever. But because it's part of the Game Pass that people already subscribe to, there's a lot more people playing it than otherwise would have. Now, of course, I don't have statistics in front of me. They haven't really released any numbers. But almost for certain, and the different organizations and gaming groups I've been a part of, a lot of people are talking about it because it's just part of Game Pass and they were able to go out and try it. Now, of course, Halo Infinite is already confirmed to be part of the Game Pass, and we don't know how Microsoft is using the money from Game Pass, because obviously they gotta fund the games and development, and they gotta get other game companies to put their games on Game Pass, so we don't know how that money's used, but Halo needs to make sure, like, hey, we're part of Game Pass, you should subscribe to this, they can use it to fund the game, they can use it to maybe fund DLC, subscribers get to play Halo that maybe they weren't originally going to try it, but then they try it and they love it. I mean, it's just kind of a win-win for both, and even if you don't want to be part of Game Pass, or you don't want to buy the game, then they probably weren't going to buy it anyways. So, being part of Game Pass is kind of like a benefit in a variety of ways. You don't have to buy a game for $60, but you also get to try the game if you weren't going to buy it anyways. You might get new fans. You get what I'm saying. Microsoft kind of wins either way. There's an opportunity for a gamer to try the game, less than $60, but maybe they're also going to try it just because it's available to them, because they were already subscribing. To sum up the video, overall, Crackdown 3 is a really fun game, and I really suggest you go try it, especially if you have Game Pass. Go play it a little bit, go check it out, because yes, it feels a little dated. It's not revolutionary, it's not Game of the Year material, but it's a good time, and I'm having fun with it, and that's all I can ask for a game, is if I can enjoy my time with it and think it's worth of my time, then I think it's a fun game. It definitely is deserving of being played, above all else. So if you agree, if you disagree with anything I've said in this video, please let me know down below. It would be much appreciated. Halo and Microsoft have plenty of time to look at the games that we have nowadays, and assuming the game comes out next year in fall 2020, Halo's got plenty of time to iron out its business model and any practices and all the things it should do and shouldn't do. And so that's what the series is. We're going to keep pointing those things out. Some episodes might be longer, some might not be, but regardless, thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you all in the game.